Explanation's been requested. Senator Squadron.
Mr. President, this bill would put on the table for the first time in the nation a gallons per mile standard for consumers to make use of when considering what car to purchase. Gallons per mile is a much better standard than miles per gallon for consumers who are conscious about the effect on the environment or the effect on their wallets of different cars they might be choosing and trying to find the most efficient one. It does so with a very modest requirement that every auto dealer selling new cars put up a single poster in the auto dealership that explains the gallons per mile relative to miles per gallon and to the amount of relative savings at increments of 5 miles per gallon from 5 to 50 for each level, so that you can really see that, for example, you're much better off going from a car, if you're choosing between a car that goes 10 miles per gallon and 15, you save a lot more gas over 1,000 miles than if you take a car from 25 to 45 miles per gallon. Gallons per mile has been shown in studies to really drive consumers to choose vehicles that use less gas. Less gas is great for the environment and great for wallets. This bill will put New York on the cutting edge of how to really think about fuel efficiency in the 21st century. It's great for the 40th Earth Day that we are going to be starting to think about how we consider fuel efficiency and making good choices on fuel efficiency for the next 100 Earth Days.
Thank you, Senator Squadron. Senator DeFrancisco.
Would Senator Squadron
Excuse
yield?
me, Senator DeFrancisco. Can we have some quiet, please?
Would Senator Squadron please yield to a question?
Do you yield to a question, Senator Squadron, from
happy
Senator
to.
DeFrancisco? You may proceed.
Can you tell me what additional information a consumer gets by learning the gallons per mile versus miles per gallon?
Senator Squadron.
Well, comparatively, when you have the gallons per mile number in front of you, what you learn is the relative gallon per mile of that gallon per 1,000 miles in the case of this bill of different vehicles. You don't have that in the miles per gallon standard. It is a relatively simple calculation, but it's not one that consumers normally do, and it's frankly the gallon per mile standard isn't one that most consumers are aware of. So I'd say the other thing they learn through this bill is about the gallons per mile standard and why it's so important.
Senator DeFrancisco.
Would Senator Squadron answer another question?
Would you continue to yield, Senator Squadron, through
Yes, sir.
If
the President?
if I know the miles per gallon, are you saying we get additional information if you require a signage reversing that as the gallons per mile? What additional information do we get?
Through you, Mr. President.
Can't you easily convert that by a simple mathematical formula?
Senator Squadron.
Through you, Mr. President, and someone had mentioned that it was the inverse. This bill, the information that you get out of this bill is twofold. First, you get the existence of the gallons per mile standard and why it's so important. And secondly, you do get a nice side-by-side comparison of miles per gallon, gallons per 1,000 miles, in fact, and the relative savings as you sort of climb the ladder on miles per gallon. So it is information that would be available to a savvy consumer who was considering it, but as we well know, gallons per mile is probably a new concept to most people in this room today.
Senator DeFrancisco.
I'd just like to speak on the bill.
Senator DeFrancisco on the bill.
I think I just discovered the reason why no other state has this bill. Every new car in every dealership posts miles per gallon. And it's a simple conversion of numbers to make a simple calculation as to what gallons per mile are. We're going to require our auto dealers in our state to be less competitive, to talk about gallons per mile rather than miles per gallon when the federal government already requires this disclosure. It's on every place. In addition, this bill, believe it or not, I didn't ask about this. I was afraid of the answer because you have to also post the cost of fuel per 1,000 miles based upon the most recent United States Environmental Protection Agency's fuel economy guide price of gas. Guide price of gas. So I guess the dealer is going to have to go out periodically, see what the price of gas is, put up all new signs, and if you don't have the sign up, you get a free pass the first time, then it's a $100 fine per car. I mean, are we trying to be business unfriendly? There is absolutely no additional value to what is being required to be provided by our auto dealers than any other auto dealers. This does nothing for the environment. It does a lot for making our auto dealers non-competitive. I urge a unanimous no vote.